Guess what? CNN. I wonder why people don't get their news from CNN. CNN says, this is real. It's a real story at CNN. Uncontrollable vomiting due to marijuana use is on the rise. Study finds. Hey, 1933 called and they want their headline back. See, this is why we shouldn't legalize pot, everybody. Nobody's ever thrown up from alcohol.
Breaking news. People can't handle the drugs of their choice.
What's going on with are these people just eating the marijuana? That's not how edibles work, ladies and gentlemen, just so you know. Okay, so here, let's get into this stupid story. An unusual illness is on the rise in the United States, especially in states that have legalized marijuana. Habitual users of cannabis, including teenagers, are showing up at emergency rooms complaining of severe intestinal distress. Wow. Notice how they don't give you any numbers? Like, there was 50 million people smoking pot in the United States. 2 of them showed up at an emergency room. Like, they don't give you any numbers. It's on the rise. What does on the rise mean? There could have been 2 people last year and now 3 means it's on the rise. Where's the numbers? Okay, very suspect.
Yes.
Very suspect. They are writhing, holding their stomach, complaining of bad abdominal pain and nausea, said Dr. Sam Wang, a pediatric medicine specialist at Children's Hospital, Colorado, who treats adolescents with the condition. Okay. Nearly 1 in 5 people seen for vomiting disorders used marijuana between 2005 and 20. You know what? 5 out of 5 people drank water between 2005 and 24. They used it once. That is Are you sick? Yeah. Have you used pot between 7 and 15 years ago? Yeah. That's it. What the F? Hey, how about we find out what they recently ate? Hey, maybe I bet you can blame. I bet you those 1 in 5 people seen for vomiting disorders have eaten White Castle between 2005 and 2014. Maybe it's the White Castle. Do you ever think of that? I think this is called an unrelated variable. I think that's what that's called. You know, it's weird. I feel like the person who wrote this had to be high to write something this stupid. Is that ironic? Here, it keeps going. There's more to the story. To compound the strangeness of the new disorder, THC and other cannabinoids in the marijuana plant have been used for pain relief, paradoxically relieving nausea and vomiting in cancer patients undergoing chemotherapy. Because that's the way it usually affects everybody. 99.999% of the time, you use it, and that's like someone going, oh, yeah, I took an aspirin, and it gave me a headache. Yeah, that's going to happen 1 out of every 400 million times. So they're trying to make something into nothing, or nothing into something. They vomit and then just continue to vomit whatever they have in their stomach, which can go on for hours. They often say they took scalding hot showers before they came to the ER, but it didn't help. Hey, how many hot showers did they take between 2005 and 2014? Let's get to the bottom of this. You guys taking hot showers? As more and more of these cases appear, they don't tell you how many more. As more and more of these cases appear, hot bathing as a home treatment became a recurring theme. Patients often tell me, I go to take a hot shower and it gets better. Then it happens again the next night, Dr. Wang said. It's pretty universal for these patients to say they need a really, really hot shower or a really hot bath to improve their symptoms. Why hot? That's not entirely clear. Also in the article, you ready for this, Nick? Also in the article, here's a subheadline. Their research is spotty. That's a
so why they run it?
Then guess what? Then don't write an article on it. If your research is spotty, maybe you pass over this story until you have more research. Maybe next they're going to start calling marijuana a horse paste. I think that's what they're going to start doing. This is what it says. To fully understand, treat, and prevent the new disorder, researchers need to document cases and compare symptoms. But CHS is so new that it doesn't have a medical diagnosis or insurance billing code, Wang said, making it a moving target. It's almost like they're making it up. I wonder why people get their news from pothead YouTubers instead of CNN. That's what I said. Danny Haifong says the corporate media is disinformation masked as expertise. That's a dangerous combination. Yes, it is. Black in the Empire says, breaking news, marijuana, which is used to help people suffering from nausea, is now causing uncontrollable vomiting. Wow, I wonder why. Uncontrollable vomiting due to watching mainstream media on the rise. Study finds. That's what the study found. A Pew survey found the majority of U.S. adults, 60%, say marijuana should be legal for medical and recreational use. With support like that, it's likely that even more states will legalize weed in the years to come. Biden's opposition to marijuana legalization is at odds with most America. So these are the people who want to keep it illegal, the people in the hip pocket of Big Pharma. Harris says she has smoked pot and supports marijuana legalization. Isn't that weird? Because the Biden White House just asked their staffers to resign over past marijuana use. But not Kamala Harris. Isn't that interesting? Wow. And this is what I think of Joe Biden. His entire career goes like this. This is his entire career. That's his entire career, failing upwards, ladies and gentlemen. He has failed upwards his entire career. Hey, why do you keep falling like that, Joe? Have you smoked pot in the last 15 years? I bet that's what it was. That's just a reenactment of his career. Because let's remember who Joe Biden really is.
We hold these truths to be self-evident. All men and women created by you know the thing.
Still funny. Still funny. Nick, well, how would you like to comment on the? I'm here with Nick Cruz from the Fred Hampton Leftist Network. Nick, what do you think of this?
I always love to ask myself why they write stories like these. It's obvious that CNN is doing the bidding of their big pharma, big alcohol donors, because I was looking in and they actually did 2 stories on alcohol recently, and they both was glowing with praise. Yeah. They said that moderate drinking may improve cognitive abilities in older people. You know the demographic of people who watch CNN. They say, oh, if you drink a little bit of alcohol, that'd be good for you.
Yeah.
And then they also ran another story that it can also drinking a little bit each week can actually improve your cardiovascular condition. So they do propaganda to try and get people to drink alcohol, but then they try and fearmonger people over weed. And I'm glad he brought up Biden because, once again, my theory, I think they are doing this to help cover for Joe Biden because Joe Biden and his administration is still strongly anti-weed. They will actually help in expanding the drug minimums that Donald Trump supported. They backed away from their campaign promise to decriminalize marijuana. They backed away from this stuff. So I think this is the media manufacturing consent so people won't be as mad at Biden. They can plant some anti-weed stories. It can justify their anti-weed stance some more. And this is why I say America is the most propagandized country in the world, because people say, oh, they're state TV. Well, if you have Big Pharma that pays CNN so they can do hit jobs on marijuana, and then you have Big Pharma that funds Joe Biden and that helps them win, and then Joe Biden does the bidding at Big Pharma, how is that not state TV? How is that not worse than state TV? They do the same bidding. They're doing the bidding of the oligarchs. So that's why I think they're doing it. I don't know what your theory is on Jamie, but I honestly believe they're doing it because they know that Democrats are expanding the police state. There's a reason why Joe Biden didn't want to decriminalize marijuana, and he increasing the police. Not a coincidence, because they need to fill those prisons. And CNN need to do their job of manufacturing consent towards that.
And let's remember Kamala Harris, when she was the Attorney General of California, was brought into court 3 times because she was ordered to release the overcrowded prisoners in the California prison system, as she's locking up people for truancy. and they have overcrowded prisons in California. $70,000 per inmate, by the way, in California. Overcrowded prisons. And when the court ordered her to release those people to relieve the overcrowding, she didn't. When they went to court a second time, they said the reason why we didn't release them was because it would screw up our prison labor system. That's what Kamala Harris's office argued in court, that they didn't release the prisoners and relieve the overcrowding as ordered by a court because it would screw up their prison labor system, aka slavery. That's what prison labor is. It's slavery. In fact, it's more profitable than slavery because with slavery, you have to care for the people. Now, the corporations don't have to care for the slaves. The government takes care of. They feed them and house them. It's more profitable than slavery. That's what's happening in America. And the people who are most responsible for it are Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, not Donald Trump, you fucking chumps.
And this is why I was warning people about Kamala. And the funny thing about Kamala, there was like this small point in time where the black community was kind of interested in her. That's when you seen Kamala initially jump into polls the first time. And I remember I covered this a long time ago, how Kamala had a giant search interest, because I do believe black people saw Kamala Harris and they were like, oh, this is a light-skinned black woman running for a position of power, so we want to support her. And then they Google her record and they was horrified, because you guys know Kamala Harris supports civil asset forfeiture, just like Joe Biden does. And that's one of the most anti-black policies. It's anti-working class in general, but there were studies showing that civil asset forfeiture steals the wealth of black Americans at around a 60% rate. And civil asset forfeiture steals more wealth from the working class than criminal burglary does. So you have a systematic transfer of wealth from the black community, mostly the black community, indigenous people and Latinos are largely affected. It's a systematic transfer of our wealth into the ruling class, into the prison industrial complex system. This is what Joe Biden support. This is what Kamala Harris support. So if you're supportive of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, even though they support the systematic transfer of our wealth, you cannot say you're fighting white supremacy. You cannot say you are pro-black. These are horrific policies that they are only able to get away with because they have the D in front of their name, because they are Democrats. But they are just as evil and just as damaging to our communities as Republicans are.
100%, which is why I tell people you have to stop donating and voting for Democrats, because things will never change until you do. Nick, I want to say thanks for showing up. Everybody should check out Nick Cruz, Fred Hampton Leftist Network. Thanks so much for coming on, buddy. We'll see you soon.
Yeah, it's always fun. Jimmy, keep rocking it, man. You're killing it. Thank you.
All right, thanks. Hi, everybody. I'm coming to do stand-up in your town. I'm coming to Florida, October 2021, Buffalo, New York, 22 through the 24th, and lots of other places. Portland, Oregon. We're going to Harlow's in Sacramento, October 3rd to do a live Jimmy Dore show. Go to jimmydorecomedy.com for a link for all tickets.